All right, everybody, come on in, come on in. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome back to another Wild Card Wednesday telenovela reaction video. For anybody new here, hi, I am Maggie. You may know me from my cooking channel. I make food and femininity content. Luke Casely and I are the founders of the Finishing School for the Modern Woman, where we teach ladies of all ages from 16 to 60 plus how to start their feminine journey with elegance and etiquette. We are getting ready for our graduation. So excited. What we've been doing every week is we are taking this viral TikTok series from ReesaTeesa and we are reviewing and we are responding as two older women, looking at the red flags that were missed and what we can all learn from it. All right, Lucy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, Miss Maggie. Hello, everyone. Let me know how the sound is on my mic because I get really self-conscious to sound too low. So let me know. So yes, I have a channel that used to focus on Spanish. Now I'm moving the content into more femininity, elegance, and things that affect women over 50. Lately, I've been stuck on the modesty concept. And it's because I just came back from South Florida and I saw some stuff over there. And I think that we really do need to get back to being a little more conscientious about what we wear and modestly wear it and be proud of just being different than everybody else. So, yes, looking forward to today's discussion.
All right, everybody. Yes, I know. I'm in the South. I'm in Atlanta. I've heard, I don't know if it was in Nevada or one warm weather state where the young ladies were wearing bathing suits to class, college campus. And their excuse was, it's so hot, I'm going to the beach afterwards, but it's inappropriate. That's not what we're talking about tonight. If you want more of that, Lucy and I are going to be teaching etiquette summer school for kids this summer. That's going to be in July. We're very excited about that after our graduation. So go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com if you want to have your little ones learn manners and conversation and conflict and hygiene and all that from me and Lucy. And this is our first graduating class of the Finishing School for the Modern Woman. Could not be prouder. The ladies are coming to Atlanta and we are going to have a weekend with them. You all can kick off the weekend with us. Tickets are available for the happy hour at Eclipse de Luna. All are welcome. If you're in Atlanta or want to come to Atlanta, eat, drink, and be merry, mix, mingle, network. All of that is at teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. Okay, so let's get started. So if you have not heard, ReesaTeesa went on TikTok and she has a 52-part series that we are reviewing, one episode per week about. And the long and short of it is, if you haven't heard anything about this, she met a man online in 2020 during the pandemic year here in Atlanta. And in the course of a year, she met him, dated him, moved in together, married him, and divorced him all within 12 months. And so she thought she knew who she married. Turns out she didn't. And there were a lot of red flags along the way. Her words, the United Nations of red flags. So we are going to review them here as teachable moments that we can all learn from. This is not to mock or put anybody down, but we can definitely learn from what other people do right and what they do wrong. So I will play the episode. It's about 10 minutes, but we'll play a little bit. Lucy and I will respond. We'll get our points out, and then we will come to the chat and see what you all have to say. Speaking of the chat, we got JT Coin Rings in the house coming in with 199. Thank you so much. He says, hello to the beautiful ladies of the panel and chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. We will definitely put you in the banner. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and mute myself. But before I begin, Lucy, anything to add about what we're going to cover tonight?
How's my sound? Because Lisa said that it was a little low. So I'm hoping that it's okay. Lisa, let me know if it sounds better or if it's too low or I need to. Okay, so let me show you my secret. I have a mic right here, and I think it's almost like all the way up. The sound, I don't want to sound like I'm screaming. So let me know, Lisa. Let me know in the chat whether you can hear me okay or if I need to do something else. Or maybe get another microphone.
All right, all right. We will definitely make sure you are good to go. I have the volume turned up, so it sounds good to me, but we want to make sure you all hear, and we'll make sure Lucy is um, well heard because she's got such a perspective. Okay, so I'm going to mute myself and then we're going to play. We are up to episode 2. So she is doing this documentary style story time in her car as she's going about her day. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to come to YouTube, my channel or Lucy's channel or my Facebook, you can see the screen share as well. All right, so here we go.
Did I Marry Part 2. So we both put on the table what it is that we wanted. We both had established we were dating for marriage. We were not dating just to date. We were not trying to be friends with benefits and none of that. So the dinner at Cheesecake Factory went really well. We laughed, we joked, we talked about people, which is kind of up my alley, my sense of humor. It was a good vibe. So at the end of the date, or excuse me, at the end of dinner, we sat in his car and he played this song for me by John Legend. I don't know the name of the song. By the time this video posts, I will put the name at the bottom. I can't remember the song. I just remember that John Legend was talking about, I think I met my wife tonight. And I thought it was a sign. So I was like, oh my God. So anyway, we ended up sitting in the car talking just about life and experiences until about midnight. So during this conversation, he again is telling me how it was, what it was like living in California, how he went out there, he went to San Diego State, he played football for San Diego State. He talked about how, he loved it out there, so he stayed. That's when he joined the company. And then he explained that he also did arena football, but only did it for about 2 or 3 years. He claims that while he was doing arena football, the team that he was on won a championship. But again, keep in mind, I don't know anything about arena football. So I would.
All right, so let's unpack this because there's a lot there, as you all can see. All right, so she's in the car, and some of you all have asked, she has rollers in her hair to keep the curls in as she's out of the house. All right, so just to catch up from last time, this was their first date. They met online on a couple different websites, talked, and then established a meeting at the Cheesecake Factory for the first date. And if you all remember, she said that he did a lot of talking on the first phone conversation, and then also, again, a lot of talking at the Cheesecake Factory date. And now she's saying the date is over. She's sitting in his car and he's continuing to talk. The other thing that she said, first, we talked about this last week, that being a red flag, because men, especially masculine men, usually aren't very verbose. They are men of action. So that's a warning sign if a man is talking, especially if he's bragging about his accomplishments. I was this type of athlete. I had this type of medal. I had, this type of accolade. That's not how masculine men move. They let their actions speak for themselves. So that's one red flag. So they're at the end of the date. They're sitting in his car, and she said he played a song, a John Legend song, amazing singer. And the song is, I Think I Found My Wife Tonight. That is a red flag. You have met a man for the first time, a man who is seriously vetting for a wife. Young ladies, especially hear us. That man is going to be reserved with his decision making, because a man who takes on a wife is taking on a huge responsibility. It's not something that they enter into lightly. So they're going to vet you, they're going to test you, they're going to look for consistency. They're not going to be talking about, I think I found my wife tonight on the first date. It is fine that they talked about their relationship goals during that date. I'm dating with the intention of marriage, or I'm looking for a wife one day. That's completely fine. But to identify it after the first date, huge red flag. That's what I would say at first. Lucy, what would you add?
I agree. I would have probably been a little bit concerned about all that information that he was pouring in. Too much information. Men generally do not share that much about themselves because they are testing the grounds. They're observing, they're watching what you do and how you respond to some of the information you give. All that um, just incredible amount of talking, it sounds like he's trying to sell something too strongly. And the fact that he played that specific song about, I think I found my wife tonight, that is, to me, that would have been 10 red flags in one, because that's too strong for me, too arrogant, too just too much. Masculine men do not do that kind of thing. My husband is masculine. I'm still waiting to hear a song that he would play for me after 16 years. So again, that's just not general behavior of men when they're trying to date a woman that they want to maybe later on consider for marriage material.
Oh my goodness, I could not agree more. Lisa says that would have scared me to death. And Angela says, that man is poison. Now, here's the thing. Lucy, made a joke about it, but ladies, it's true. My man is a little bit more emotive, but men don't lead with emotion. That is a very feminine trait. Men are thinkers, they are doers, they are men of action. You will have moments in a relationship with a traditional man, and I know this is not for everyone, but you will have moments of those lovey-dovey kind of things, but that is not all the time. So I talk to ladies outside of YouTube in group and one-on-one, and sometimes they have this almost like teenage dream vision of love and a real relationship. As mature women, that will lead to disappointment, because that is not how masculine men move. So make sure you adjust your expectations. Yes, they'll do the flowers and those types of things, maybe, but if they don't, there's nothing wrong with them. The last thing I wanted to say, and then we'll pick up on the video, is the whole arena football, because I saw this in here from Lisa about she should have Googled arena football. I know about like ReesaTeesa, NFL, and college football. I'm not familiar with arena football, but again, I'm lumping it all into more of the bragging. Lisa saying that the men who play arena football play it for the joy of the sport, not that it is, a great source of income. And you all will see as we continue, a lot of his bragging was to tell how wealthy he apparently was. All right, so let us pick up and continue, and then we'll come back for another round.
I was like, okay, I didn't know that they had championships. And he was like, he got a little offended, like, yeah, they got championships. And, he was on that team. So he talked to me about how he worked at Apple. He worked something in the IT area of Apple, but within the store. Again, it was one of those, it's like when I tell people I used to work at Amazon. I really wasn't paying much attention to it. Why? So we talked about all that. We talked deeply into what happened with the ex-wife. It's because I asked. He was not volunteering all this information. So in other words, I get very uncomfortable when men start talking about their ex a lot. That's not what happened. I was asking questions because I was really trying to figure out, okay, are you ready for a relationship, or are you still missing her? So we talked about that. We talked about my exes. That was a mistake I made because I talked about how I dated at one point in time somebody I worked with. That will come back later. And he seemed real cool about it. He was like, that was before me and blah, blah, blah. So the conversation was good. Midnight comes and I go home. Yes, I went home. We ended up talking. Mind you, our first date was March 7th. And within about 2.5 weeks, Brian Kemp, our governor, shut Georgia down. We were going to be on lockdown. So during those 2.5 weeks, we talked every day. We went out again at Red Lobster. I remember Red Lobster. But everything was going great. The issue was, where are we going to quarantine? So the question was, are we going to quarantine at his place, which he had like a studio type of situation. Like, it clearly, where he was staying, I was like, it's like a studio apartment, but he kept telling me like, this is temporary because I'm looking for a house. Like, he showed me the email from a woman who worked at the company where she was out on maternity leave, but she was putting him in contact with a realtor to help him find a townhome or a single family house. So I was just like, okay, this is definitely temporary. Like,
All right, so a lot more there to unpack. Now, the tangled web we are weaving. So, you all heard her say, I don't know if you all caught this, she met him online. Within a week, they met for their first date. Totally fine. I think you should try to meet in person in a public place for a very simple meet and greet if you're dating online. I prefer in person, but anyway. And then again, this was in 2020. And she said that within 2.5 weeks of meeting him, the state went on lockdown. I don't know how we go from I've known you for 2.5 weeks to where are we going to quarantine? That is going from 0 to 60 in like negative seconds. It would not even cross my mind to cohabitate with a man. I've never lived with a man I haven't been married to. But it would never even cross my mind to move in with a man that I have known 2.5 weeks. And she talks about this in the video, maybe another one where she didn't want to quarantine alone. So again, ladies, this is a woman who made a decision because she didn't want to be lonely, but it wasn't from, I think, a wise place. The other thing that she said, they were looking at each other's living situation. Apparently she was renting some type of townhome and he was in like a studio apartment. He said it was a temporary situation because he was looking for a house. I think in the previous videos, he said that he was in some type of corporate housing. I've actually been in corporate housing. Corporate housing is when a company is moving you and they put you in a fully furnished apartment with, food, groceries, everything you need while you're looking for a home. It is not a tiny studio apartment. And I know people have different situations, but that was another red flag. And to be looking for a house, you don't go from like a very bare bones apartment to a $700,000 house. You will hear that in the video. So those were a couple red flags that stood out to me. What would you add, Lucy?
Also, the fact that he was sharing all of the real estate information for him looking for a house when they've just met. Again, that is not standard, normal behavior when you're dating someone. The fact that there was even kind of like an ultimatum whether he would move into she would move into his or he would move into hers when they've only been knowing each other for a couple of weeks, that again is not standard behavior. So again, it's one of those things that you start seeing, you know, yeah, she liked him a lot. She um, chose not to listen to that instinct and say, wait a minute, this is too fast. Why is he giving me all that information about real estate, about the house that he wants to buy? I'm not understanding. Another thing, I was thinking, how many significant others has she had before? Is this somebody that he has had? I mean, I'm trying to think, because you know how you date with intention. You start knowing some of the things that men ask on the first, second date. Is this the only man she's dated? So I'm not understanding where the disconnect is for her not saying, yeah, you know what? This is too much.
Great point. So we'll talk a little bit about the exes and then we will continue. So Lucy asked a very important question, ladies, for a woman, and we don't know her exact age, but I'm assuming she's over 35 because in the story, there's going to be like a high risk pregnancy down the line. But for a mature woman to be so almost naive in her decision making, and she says, admittedly, she saw the red flags and just kind of pushed past them. But Lucy's question about, is this the first man that she's dated? The purpose of dating, I've said this over and over, is to see if this is a suitable match for marriage or long term. It's not to just go out. It's not to look cute. It's not to just be lonely. We are actually vetting and being vetted. So either she hasn't dated a lot, or she hasn't dated the caliber of men that she's seriously vetting and being vetted for marriage, because there are just some things that should be part of your not interrogation, but things that come up naturally in the conversation. This was very odd to go from I just met you to where are we going to quarantine together. And then the last thing, the conversation about the exes. I have had 2 long-term relationships, one marriage and one long-term. So if you do have a long relationship history, I don't know how much of that is relevant for who you're dating moving forward. Now, of course, if someone asks you a direct question, you want to give a direct answer, but I think of it like a job resume. You kind of summarize the past and maybe talk about the last relationship. But we talked about this last week. It needs to be, that it's closed. You've learned from it. You're, untethered and ready to move on. But going into the detail about past exes, I don't see how that's helpful moving forward. What does Lisa say? Loneliness makes people do things they never think they would do. That is so true, you all. That is so true. Next Level says, she was okay with his antics while she was accepting his money. You all will hear more about that. Khalees says, yes, this is true. Inexperience may be at play here. And Angelo Cherry, you all know Angelo. He's come up on our channels a couple times. Out of control plus desperation and a gullible nature equals a disaster. All right, everyone. So let's go back to the video and then we'll recap the next little bit.
He's not trying to stay here long term. And she was apologizing in the email. I'm so sorry, this should have been taken care of before you got here, but it wasn't. I saw the email. I read it. I read the email. So the decision was, we're going to quarantine at the studio, or we're going to quarantine in my house? First mistake I made. Well, there's a lot, but this was a mistake I made. So ladies, caution moment. During one of our dates, because keep in mind, in those 2 weeks, we were seeing each other quite a bit. Nothing physical or anything like that. Just 2 people who I thought were really on some. All right, let's see if this is going to grow into something. He came to my house. When he came to my house, I had a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome. He was in the studio. Now, I'm telling you guys all of this in order of how it happened. So some things I'm probably going to insert what I was thinking and the mistake I made. Can I turn this off? No. Okay, I still need that. And I say that to say that I did not realize inviting him to my home probably made his eyes go, oh shit, she's a keeper. She got this 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhouse, and I'm in like a little studio. Yeah, let me go ahead and pursue this. What I need to do to quarantine here. The decision was made, quarantine at my house. So the state went on lockdown. He came and stayed with me in my home, and for the most part, in the initial beginning, it was fine. It was fine. The reason why I hesitate is because I grew up in the church. So for me, it was really like an internal struggle of, bruh, you always said you would never live with a guy unless he was your husband. And now you living with a dude and he ain't your husband. Like, it was a struggle for me. Because
Oh boy. All right, y'all. So much to unpack here. All right, ladies. So let's recap. As you see, they made the decision to quarantine together. And you heard her say, I said I would never live with a man unless he was my husband. You were not living with him, he was living with you. Ladies, red flag numero uno. If a man is impressed with your accomplishments, your provision, your home, the way you live, and he wants to hitch his wagon to you, that is a red flag. That is a danger sign. That actually goes against nature. We women are the ones that are hypergamous, meaning we are usually the ones looking for security. If you are with a man and he wants to attach his life to you, he is not going to be the masculine man of your dreams. Maybe you don't want a masculine man, but you're putting yourself in a position where you are going to be the breadwinner. You are going to be responsible. So that was a huge red flag. The other thing that she said is, I grew up in the church, and she had struggles with living with someone. Um, it's a sensitive subject. People can believe what they want to believe, but I will say this: consistency is important in relationship. And I am not a woman of the cloth, but I would say in faith, it doesn't bode well. Oh my goodness, here they come. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna finish my thought, but y'all, I don't wait when the men come through in the chat. Okay, she said, I grew up in the church and I do not live with a man, and it bothered me. Ladies, there has to be a hill that you are willing to go down on. Only you can decide on what that is. But if you say out of your mouth, oh, I'm a vegetarian, but when that turkey comes around, well, I only eat meat on the holidays, then you're not a vegetarian. I'm not saying that makes you a bad person, but you got to be really careful, because when you have those little threads there, then people find ways to poke holes and it damages your credibility. All right, Lucy, what would you add?
Thank you, Mr. Option One. Thank you, Thane Mithra. And I believe I can't remember her name. Hold on just a second. Let me go up. Uh, I missed her. Shantia Fraser. Thank you so much for your generous donations. This is amazing. Um, Speaking of yeah, generosity and our men taking care of us, and thank you again. And going back to how she allowed him to go into her place, I'm thinking the safety factor. She doesn't know this man at all. Does it? I mean, I keep going back to that book called The Gift of Fear. Um, in fact, YouTube has it on audio as audiobook. So if anybody's interested to listening to that book, The Gift of Fear, you gotta listen to it, because again, it's one of those things that when somebody doesn't have good intentions, they will find a way to get in. And she opened the door to him to come in and take advantage of her naivete or her loneliness, whatever. He found a way to get in, and unfortunately, she found her way. She found an environment that really probably messed up her way of thinking about life from now on.
All right, so true. So I have to give thanks to our supporters. I would be remiss if we just blew past this. So first, Shantia, thank you for the $2. She says, thank you for covering this. You are most welcome. Lucy and I feel very passionate that the older women should teach the young. And we know that a lot of people have talked about this. This series has over 400 million views on TikTok, and a lot of people are enjoying it, pulling out their popcorn, laughing at it, making fun. But I really think there are some teachable moments here, and so that's what we're committed to do. So thank you, my dear. Then we have Mr. Option 1. I'm going to have to put you as co-sponsor in the ticker. He says, you know what? The hair is blowing me away, Maggie. Well, thank you. Happy Women's History Month to two beautiful ladies. Thank you so much for the $100 super chat. I appreciate it so much. I know Lucy does too. We were talking about it. Y'all know with natural hair, if you have textured hair, your hair goes with the weather. And I'm in the South. If you're in humid environments, sometimes it's a little bit squirrely, but it's been dry. So I'm glad you like it. Thank you. And you all know him and you love him. None other than my biggest supporter on my channel, Thane Mithra, coming through again with the $100 with one word, correct. I don't even know what I said or what we said, but we appreciate the support. You all protect and provide for us, and we are so incredibly grateful. We're going to continue on. If you all would please put Option 1, Mr. Option 1 and Thane in the chat. I'm going to put them in as co-sponsors. We are so grateful. Okay, so let us continue.
And Angela just came in. Just came in as well.
We have triple co-sponsors. Is it raining men? Ladies, when I tell you, I'm just, Angelo, you all, and Angelo is a young brother in the community. You all saw when Lucy and I brought him on, and he is a musical virtuoso looking for a woman to hire and be his woman. I'm just so grateful. Angelo says people who aren't who they say they are is such a big problem. That's true, ladies. So I'm not going to, beat the dead horse on religion. That's a very personal topic for a lot of people, but just show up and walk out who you say that you are. If you say you are a woman of faith, people are going to expect certain types of behavior. It carries out on the rest of your life. So just be very mindful of that, especially when dating, because masculine men look for consistency. All right, so I'm going to add, if y'all would please put Angelo Cherry in the chat and Thane and Mr. Option 1. I'm going to put all three gentlemen in the ticker and we will continue.
Because I knew better, and don't come for me. I'm just telling you the way I grew up. It was like that. It was not sitting right with me. But at the same time, I didn't want to quarantine by myself. I did not want to. So there we go. So he moved in. We talked about the bills. Let me clear something up that I said in the other video where I said he paid all the bills. He paid all the household bills. He did not pay my car payment, my cell phone, or my car insurance. He paid the rent because my rent at the time was less than $1,000. He paid the utility bills. And so when he's telling me that he's a regional manager, I was like, wow, okay, so you got money. And so he paid all the household bills. So my check really was just taking care of me, myself, and I. And I am not, this is where it's not gonna make me look good, but it's the truth. It was intoxicating to not have to worry financially about how to pay the bills. It was a wonderful feeling. And so I kind of pushed to the side the fact that, yeah, you shacking up, because it's like, but your page, you don't have to worry right now. Like, he's taking care of all of April's bills before April even comes, because this was still March. So we're living together, and I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, he's helping to cook and clean, and then we have a conversation about house. Is he still going to buy a house just for him, or is he going to buy a house where it's for us? Because we are going to try to make this thing work, be official, get married, have a family. So the question now on the table is, what are we going to do? Because I didn't want to stay in Riverdale, Georgia. I did not want to raise a family there. I refused to have a baby in Clayton County. So the decision was made, let's start looking for a house for both of us. Remember?
Oh my God. It just, y'all, I have watched this entire series, but to rewatch it, it is so painful. I just, oh my goodness. Okay, so many things to unpack here. Number one, remember, they met, started dating. Within 2 weeks, Georgia went on lockdown. They decided to quarantine together in her home. She said it was intoxicating to have a man pay the bills. Now, ladies, hear me well. Yes, we want men to provide. Yes, it is a wonderful feeling when you have a man provide for you. But a man does that for the woman that he has chosen to be his own. A man does not do that for a stranger. I don't even know if they've known each other for a month yet. And what happens when a man realizes that all it takes is a little bit of dangle in front of you, and all the boundaries that you had, all of the I don't do this, I don't shack up, I don't, all the little rules that you had just poof go away, he's got you. Because all he has to do is to continue to bring home the money, and basically you're a puppet on a string. So it is really important, ladies, that you know, without any man present, what are my core values? What am I willing to do and what am I not willing to do? And again, no judgment. I understand traditional is not for everyone, but you can't say that, well, I wasn't going to do this, but it felt so good because he was paying the bills. You have to have some standards. You have to have some boundaries that you stand by no matter what. I just think that's part of being a woman. So that was one thing. Then the second thing that she said, now they're living together and the decision is, are we going to buy a house? What is this we? You have known each other maybe a month. Buying a home is a huge investment. So I would advise, ladies, I say, and this is a mistake that I made in my marriage, I think that you should allow the man to buy the house that he can afford, and you adjust your lifestyle to what he can provide so that you're not on the hook to be in a breadwinner position. A lot of us think that we want all these things and we need all these things. A masculine man is, number one, not going to let you. But if you do have the kind of man that's just going to say, yes, it's going to be we, if that's what you want, that's one thing. But I would just be very careful about that. I think it was way too premature to talk about we are now ready to buy a home when he just moved into yours. All right, Lucy, what would you add?
Yeah, and also a traditional man is not going to is going to probably test you on some of your boundaries. And if you're willing to bend on some of those values, he's going to say, is this the woman that's going to raise my children on the values that I think are the ones that are supposed to be there no matter what? So again, in a normal relationship, a man will ask some of those questions to see how strong you are set on your foundation. And, we could see that she was, little by little, he was pushing those boundaries just because she thought that the money and he was a high value man and he was, in the corporate world where it was all, a house of cards that he was building.
Absolutely. Let's see what y'all are saying in the chat. Lisa says, when I was dating, I didn't let any man in a relationship do things for me financially. It made me uncomfortable. I didn't like feeling like I owed them anything. Yes, ladies, relationships come in phases. You meet a man, you're dating, which my man will tell you is different from courting. Then you move from casually dating to, okay, are we dating each other exclusively? Then you need to make sure you have a good relationship. Then you have to talk about, are we the one for each other? And all the things that come after it. Going from 0 to 60, it's very, just a huge red flag. And I love what Lucy said about a masculine man. A traditional man is going to test you. My man continues to test me. You never know. I think men do a better job about thinking ahead. And so you're just in the moment. You're like, oh my gosh, it feels so good. I have a paycheck and I just get to keep my paycheck for me. And you're not thinking at all that he's setting himself to basically be, almost a dependent, and then you're not going to look at him like you want to be able to look at your man. And I would just say a masculine man is not going to come into your home and be like, wow, this is amazing. What do I need to do to stay here? Yeah, let's see what Erin Laura says. Yes, I was 100% right. Next Level says, why is she asking a man who isn't her husband about buying a house for both of us? Such a good question. Absolutely. And yes, she was in a part of Atlanta that she didn't obviously wanted to stay in, but again, ladies, that is not the reason why you throw caution to the wind and just let a stranger move into your home. Next Level says, I knew what to do, but I didn't want to quarantine alone. But don't come for me. Modern women and the excuses. Yeah, God ain't in this. Yeah, some people feel very strongly about her. Now you want to say, I grew up in the church. Okay, let us continue.
He was already looking for a house for him, but then he was like, you know what, we're together, I plan to marry you, let's look for a family home for the two of us. He was like, this is how much I was approved for. That's when he showed me the Chase paperwork. It was a letter stating that and it had the Chase emblem at the top. He showed me a letter stating that he was approved for $700. All right, who the fuck did I marry? Part 2. So we both put on the table what it is that we wanted. We both had established we were dating for marriage. We were not dating just to date. We were not trying to be friends with benefits and none of that. So the dinner at Cheesecake Factory went really well. We laughed, we joked, we talked about people for $750.
All right, sorry about that. It was repeating the same one. So that was the end of episode 2. So I want to see what you all have to say, and then I'm going to drop the link. We're doing 1 episode per week, so we're going to be on this for a while, but so much to learn from this. One other thing that I want to say, let me drop the link in case you all want to chat with us. We got about 15 minutes left. You can be camera on or camera off. It's always your choice if you want to chime in. Notice how she said, he showed me the paperwork. He showed me the paperwork. I saw the email. I saw the paperwork. Ladies, again, a masculine man is not going to drop little breadcrumbs to show and prove to you every step along the way. That is a red flag. My man has completely changed jobs, and I found out after the fact. Oh yeah, I got a call from this recruiter. They gave me what I was asking for, so I changed jobs. And I'm like, okay, but that's just how they move. They move the way they do. They may explain, they may not. It's not that they have anything to hide, but a man on his purpose is singularly looking forward. And if you are going to be with him, you come alongside as a helpmate. He will share the goals with you, but all the little twists and turns, showing you emails, this is from the recruiter, this is how much I got approved. That is not how men move. They are men of action. So here's what you can do, ladies. You also can look at their past to see the pattern of behavior. It would be consistent. A man who is approved for a $750,000 home would not be living in a studio apartment that the first time he sees your place, he's like, ooh, I gotta be here. That is a huge disconnect. If you've never bought a home before, I've never lived in an apartment. I went from my parents' home to buying a home, but you usually start with a starter home and then maybe a mid-level home, and then when you get older like me and Lucy, you may have like a bigger house, but you don't go from studio apartment to $750,000 home. That is a huge red flag. So I just wanted to call those things out, ladies, and just say that she got drunk in love with the possibility of not having to be an adult and be responsible. And I know working and paying bills is not fun, but you don't want to let your desperation to be relieved of your responsibilities encourage you to make poor decisions. What would you add, Lucy?
Yeah, and a traditional masculine man. Sorry, guys, that's my dog in the background. These discussions put them to sleep. I just gotta, that's their thing. So, sorry, it's our voices, I guess. But a masculine traditional man will not tell you within 3 weeks, I plan to marry you. That is not normal. That is not something that they will say. That is not something how they plan their lives. They go day by day. And the fact that she said that they were meeting very consistently for those initial 2 weeks, was he not working? How consistently? Because I know that when my husband is working, he's working. I'm not seeing him, when I was dating him, I wasn't seeing him every day, every night. I would see him like on the weekends, maybe a special weekday when he would stop by. But the fact that they were meeting so much, what was he doing? Was he not working? So that's a little, again, yes, she was really drunken in love, but there's also, a realization, wait a minute, let's take this much slower, that she apparently didn't do. And again, we see the consequence. So again, it's fascinating to see. It's a learn lesson for her and for many other women that perhaps might find themselves in a situation like this where things are going too quickly. Slow down. Things don't have to move like that, because again, there are people looking for that quick movement, so you won't catch them in the things that are in the past, because once you're in it, you're in it. So I think that this is something that probably happened to her in a way. And again, it's something that the red flags were there. Her core values, she was able to kind of blur the lines, and this is where it got her.
Absolutely. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. So Khalees says, yes, Lisa, OMG. That was actually my problem, I thought, because one of the ones that I thought was the one told me it was always frustrating to him. He wanted to do things for me. So I want to be clear here, ladies. Yes, men want to do things for us. Yes, they want to, treat us to things and buy us gifts. But one thing you need to know about men, they move in order, in time, on their own time. The red flag here with the ReesaTeesa situation is this is a man who's talking about houses and cars on the first date. You're still a stranger. No, we talked about that last week. Yes, a man, and I think even like replacing a tire, a man is going to show simple gestures, small little things. But if he is leading with his money for big ticket items, I do think that is a red flag if you all haven't had an established relationship, because men don't spend money without expecting something in return. And like the old folks used to say, don't take anything from a man you're not willing to do something for. So I would be very careful of that. But again, as feminine women, if a man, especially your man, wants to do something nice for you, receive it graciously, and don't be, one of those that's kind of, no, let me know, you shouldn't have. Just receive it, say thank you, and show appreciation. See, Gilly says I was always like, no, no, no. That can also turn off a man. What would you add to that, Lucy?
Yeah, and again, that goes back to understanding the dance of the relationship. It gets to a point that it's okay to say yes to some of those things. And again, they're not going to start gifting you, a Birkin bag from the beginning. Maybe they will, but again, I would feel so uncomfortable to get a big ticket item from the beginning because again, for me, there's always strings attached, and it's not only the intimacy part is just it's just not it just doesn't feel right. But once you've established your relationship, of course you want to get a gift from your husband, from your significant other, and say, oh my god, thank you, that was so thoughtful of you. I've been thinking about this, because depending on the gift, you're going to apply the gratefulness for him thinking about giving you something. Because
Because
again,
again,
men, they're not, they love to give their time, they love to build you a home, they love to build you your world. But again, they're not that thoughtful in little trinkets and things. That's us. That's what we do when when we go and have a Christmas party and we have our in-laws and we buy the gifts for the in-laws, the cousins, the nephews, and everything else. So when a guy gives you something, if you're in an established relationship, please be grateful, because again, they don't do it as often.
so true. So I think we've made that point. Thank you so much. Lisa says, Lisa, I would hear the same thing about frustrating them because they wanted to do things. No, thank you. There are always expectations, but it is different once you're engaged and planning your life together. I could not have said it better. Erin Laura says, I agree. Men have better foresight. They just do, ladies. We're built different. I always say we are not equal. We are equally valued, but we are very different. And there are some things that men are naturally better at. There are some things that we women are naturally better at. That's why I think we're beautiful together. Erin Laura says they also have more practical goals, while ours can be more fantastical and not realistic. This is so true, ladies. Usually men, especially traditionally masculine men, they bring the structure in the relationship. If I could have it my way, I would be fluttering all over the place, singing and dancing and just like, oh, this is great. And then, oh, squirrel, this is great. Men bring structure, men bring discipline, and we should welcome that. Of course, they want to celebrate, but it's going to be something that's going to be planned and something that makes sense and that's earned. They're not going to be spontaneous, like, oh, let's just go here and do that just because and blow the bonus we just made. A responsible man is not going to act that way. So if you have a man that brings structure, don't pout. Be grateful and understand he's thinking about what's best for the both of you. All right, let's see what else you all are saying in the chat. Oh, yes, we're going to get to that company car. Ooh, what does Thane say? Doggies for the win. They're tired of the mess. The dogs are tired, I know. But look, we have a lot of meat on these bones. We're going to pick it out. Thank you, Thane. We got Bella saying good evening. Hello, everybody. Yes, Khalees, we are the dreamers. And ladies, here's the thing. Don't beat yourself up about this. My man tells me all the time, they love that fantastical quality in us women. We see the beauty in things. We can turn a house into a home. We can work magic with leftovers. We can take scraps of an outfit and sew something. I mean, we women have a wonderful quality to kind of hope for the best. That is why the men are inspired to make the world the way that it is. So don't lose that. We're just saying that in addition to that bright-eyed, almost naivete that we have, we definitely need men to kind of provide the guardrails. Again, if you want something traditional, if you don't, I am not going to fight you. You can drive the bus until you're 65. Yes, Bella. And Bella says the men are going to do it on their own time. 100. Shout out to the young bride. I see this a lot of times in women, ladies, and I say it and I say it, and I even have to realize that we cannot change them. We either accept with grace or we exit with grace. But a man is who he is. He moves how he moves. He vets how he vets. You either get on his program or you find another man that's already moving in the way that you want to move, but you are not going to nag him to death. You are not going to shame him. You are not going to wrestle him to the ground. You are not going to change him. He will exit and find someone that will bring him peace. I have seen it time and time again. They do it in their own time. And Thane says, the women that expect little from me get everything. Oof, what would you add, Lucy?
Oh my goodness, age. I had a thought and it's like it's gone. But I'm thinking, men, we have to, as women, realize that it's okay to be women, that it's okay to be fantastical in our thinking, but also accept that our men are going to come in and say, wait a minute, that fantastical thinking, we have to bring it down a little bit for now because there are other things that take priority. So again, it's okay to be like that because that's what they love about us. They love our just, imaginative, creative, just discombobulated, beautiful minds that we have. But if we are with somebody with a significant other, we have to appreciate them being able to say, let's bring it down a bit and let's talk about it a little more because we can do those thousands of things that you want to do in a day. Let's do one or two and then we can move on. So again, it's one of those things about being self-reflective, being being able to say, yeah, we women, we are a little crazy, but we love our men to give us that structure to make us a little bit less crazy.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. I see Thane's comment here, and I want to end on that. A couple things. I tell my man all the time how grateful I am. And yes, the things are nice, but one of the things I love about him is his mind, his decision making. I know I'm a naturally indecisive person because I get excited, I get distracted, I want everything. So I really appreciate the boundaries, how he can say, because he knows me and he wants what's best for me, he may make a decision that I'm kind of like, oh man, that's no fun. 10 times out of 10, I'm so much happier because he forced me to kind of slow down and put some thought into what I'm doing. All right, so let's see a couple things that I starred, and then we're going to go to Thane's comment because I think that is a huge one. Gilly says, yes, yep, and some of their time is never. We have to gauge that too. Ladies, this is true. Men are not obligated to be in relationship with us or marry us. Men control access to relationships, and we women control access to intimacy. So this is a conversation you should have in the beginning. I said that about ReesaTeesa. I think it is good that they both aligned on the same goals. That should be one of the first few conversations that you have, so you know if it's even worth continuing on. What you shouldn't do is just blow past it. If a man says, yeah, I'm really just looking, for something casual, feminine companionship right now. I'm not really at a point to look for something serious, but you're so googly eyed with him. He checks off all your boxes, all 32 things on your list. You're just like, I'm going to make it happen. He hasn't seen the likes of me yet. I'm going to make sure he knows that I'm going to be the perfect wife for him. If he's not looking for a wife, it doesn't matter. You have to exit. We've all been there, and find the man that is moving the way you want to move, which is marriage minded. They have the right to say that they don't want a relationship. Doesn't matter how much we want it. And then Dakota says, learning to allow structure is a learning curve. Some women fail to learn from a man. And yes, ladies, you will continue to take these tests over and over again. Believe the man. Believe what he says. A traditional masculine man is not going to lie to you because he doesn't have to. And I think if you allow your pride to kind of get out of the way and be humble and open to the thought that you don't know everything. We don't know everything. Be open and teachable and coachable. You will learn to look forward to it. That's what I would say. And then the last comment that I had here, ooh-wee, Thane says, men of means have no problems buying you short-term gifts to avoid long-term problems. You are not a wife. I know it hurts, but ladies, you've got to be very careful about this. My man tells me all the time, men who have no intentions, they actually have budgeted how much they're going to spend on you, on going out with the fellas, on weekends or trips. It is not anything for them. And you all saw him, even in ReesaTeesa's relationship, as soon as he realized, oh, all I got to do is pay the bills in this $1,000 apartment and I got a place to stay and a woman to cook and clean, where do I sign? So a man who is able, if he doesn't have intentions for you, he will still buy the things. And you'll be like, oh, we're together. He's buying me things. He's taking me places. It really means something. And he had no intentions for you the whole time. So that's another reason why, ladies, I know we get excited, but you got to learn how to pump the brakes, really read the tea leaves. I'm not talking about interrogation, but really, okay, read the room and let's see, is this man moving like a husband? Is he already making plans for a future before I got here? Does he talk about a future with me in it? Is he including me in some decision making, introducing me to people? You've got to be able to watch that. If you're just collecting trinkets and toys, that is all you will have when it's over. What would you add, Lucy?
And those questions that Maggie was asking, that is goes in your mind. It's not you asking them whether they're going to provide you with that information. That's you honing on those observational skills and, like she said, reading the room. What is he doing? How is he talking? Is he talking to his mom about me? Is he talking to his brother or sister about me? Does he bring me into any family get-togethers on the weekends? Again, they don't, it's about watching what they do. And also, masculine traditional men, they will say what they're going to do and they will do what they say they're going to do. So again, it seems like this guy was talking a lot, but the doing wasn't there. He was showing you in paper, kind of like make believe, which is something that's not normal, but were you seeing the result of all the talking that he was doing?
Well, on that note, since Thane came through and spanked everybody like he usually does, Khalid says, that hurts, and Thane's not even my man. I know, I felt that. I'm feeling a little tender too. Bella says Thane bopped them upside the head with that one. It's true. He always comes in. But Bella says, I appreciate how my husband gets me together. I need it. And ladies, yes, if you can get out of your own way, if you have a good man with good intentions, you will learn to be grateful for, I'll say it, the correction, because I would find myself skipping on down the lane like, how did I end up here? All right, so we are going to wrap it up. So we are here for you all every week. We're taking one episode at a time. So we've given you lots of red flags that ReesaTeesa could have avoided. Hopefully you all can learn from. We will continue. We will be back, I guess, Friday to do a Wives Club episode. And then again, if you all are in Atlanta or want to come to Atlanta, all are welcome at the Maggie Lou meetup. You can get your tickets. We're going to go to Eclipse de Luna to eat, drink, and be merry. Spanish tapas, dancing, just having a good time so that we can celebrate the ladies that have completed the finishing school. We could not be more proud. Any words to close us out, Lucy?
Can't wait for our meetup. It's funny because my sisters might get a little upset because I'm more excited about this than our Miami trip. But anyway, I'm looking forward to meeting you all, meeting the ladies, and of course Maggie, my dear Maggie. I can't wait.
Absolutely. So go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. So the meetup is in April. All are welcome. Next month, that's going to be Friday, April 5th. All are welcome. Then we'll have our finishing school graduation. We will have pictures for you all to see that. And then this summer, July, is going to be Etiquette Summer School for Kids. That is going to be co-ed. So if you have age 5 to age 15, boys or girls. We will teach them all about etiquette in summer school, age appropriate, and then the finishing school for the modern woman will return in the fall. You can join the wait list. So thank you to all of our contributions tonight. So grateful. JT Coin Rings, Nakota, thank you, Shantia. Thank you, Mr. Option One, our triple co-sponsor with Thane Mithra, another triple co-sponsor with Angelo Cherry. We are so incredibly grateful. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and dismiss. Don't hurt them, Thane. All right, y'all. We will see you all on the next one. Until then, goodbye.
Adios.